Shilo Sanders' parents, Deion and Pilar, react after Buccaneers waive him. A painful week for a famous football family. The Sanders family has never been strangers to headlines. For decades, the name has been etched into the very fabric of American sports culture, not only because of the extraordinary career of Deion coach Prime Sanders, but also because of the unique way this family has lived under the constant glare of public attention. Deion was not just an NFL Hall of Famer. He was a cultural figure, a man who redefined swagger in sports, who blurred the line between athlete and entertainer. His children, by extension, have lived under both a blessing and a curse, the blessing of opportunity, visibility, and legacy, and the curse of relentless scrutiny and impossible comparisons. This past week, however, was one of the most difficult stretches the family has faced in years. The pain came not only from the harsh realities of professional sports, but also from the way setbacks piled one after another, each headline heavier than the last. And yet, amid the noise and disappointment, the Sanders family once again reminded the world of their resilience, their unity, and their refusal to be broken by temporary failures. At the center of it all was Shilo Sanders. Once a standout defensive back at Colorado, Shilo had fought his way into the NFL with determination. Unlike his father, who entered the league as a highly touted first-round pick, or his younger brother Shadur, who became one of the most talked-about quarterbacks in college football, Shilo's journey was defined by struggle and persistence. He went undrafted, overlooked by scouts and executives who questioned whether he had the size, the instincts, or the upside to succeed at the next level. But Shilo was determined to prove them wrong. He signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and for weeks in preseason camp, he began to build a case for himself. Coaches praised his energy, his aggression, his hunger. For a moment, it looked like he might just beat the odds and earn a spot on the 53-man roster. Then, in the second quarter of Tampa Bay's preseason finale against the Buffalo Bills, all of that progress collapsed in an instant. The incident unfolded quickly, but its consequences lingered. Shilo was matched up with Bills tight end Zach Davidson. The whistle had already blown, signaling the end of the play, but Davidson continued to block Sanders aggressively downfield. For a defensive back already on edge, fighting for his professional future, it was too much. Tensions escalated. Words may have been exchanged. Davidson later admitted to making a too small taunt in Sanders' direction. Whatever the spark, the fire burned fast. Shilo lost his composure and threw a punch at Davidson's head. The referees stepped in immediately, ejecting Sanders from the game. For veterans, perhaps an ejection is embarrassing but survivable. For a rookie fighting for his life in the league, it was catastrophic. After the game, Davidson offered his perspective. He was measured in tone, but the subtext was unmistakable. "I was just chasing a far-deep DB and trying to finish through the whistle, and he had a little bit more to say," he explained. While Davidson denied saying anything particularly inflammatory, he admitted to making a gesture. "I may have gestured something, but if you get mad for getting blocked, I can't really control what else he does." The comments painted a picture of a young safety unable to control his emotions, of a player who cracked under pressure. For Shilo, it was salt in the wound. The league didn't punish Davidson. No fine, no penalty, no consequences. The entire fallout landed squarely on Sanders. Head coach Todd Bowles did not hold back in his assessment either. Known for his no-nonsense approach, Bowles made it clear that throwing a punch was unacceptable in the NFL. "You can't throw punches in this league. That's inexcusable," Bowles said. "They're going to get you every time. You've got to grow from that." His words carried both disappointment and finality. For weeks, Bowles had praised Sanders' energy and commitment, but in that one moment, all of that goodwill evaporated. The NFL is a league that thrives on discipline, on trust, on knowing that in the most heated moments, players will remain in control. Shilo had broken that trust, and the Buccaneers wasted no time making their decision. Less than 24 hours later, they waived him. The news hit quickly. NFL Network's Tom Pelissero reported Sunday morning that the Buccaneers had informed Sanders he would not be part of the final roster. The release was swift, merciless, and decisive. For most undrafted rookies, that would have been the end of the story. But Shilo's last name guaranteed the story would carry much further. He was not just another player cut in late August. He was the son of Deion Sanders, the brother of Shilo Sanders, part of a family whose every move is magnified. And so, the headlines came thick and fast. Shilo Sanders waived by Buccaneers after preseason ejection. Yet amid the disappointment, there were whispers of respect from inside the Buccaneers building. Mike Florio of NBC's Pro Football Talk reported that Tampa Bay had appreciated Sanders' attitude during camp. We're told that the Buccaneers enjoyed having Shilo in the building, viewing the son of Deion Sanders as a good kid, who was at all times respectful to everyone, Florio wrote. Shilo was also immediately remorseful following the incident that disqualified him from the second quarter of the game against the Bills. That respect mattered. It did not save his roster spot, but it suggested that Sanders' NFL journey may not be completely over. If he cleared waivers, there was always the possibility he could be signed to Tampa Bay's practice squad. The bigger question, however, was whether teams believed he had the talent to survive at the NFL level. For Shilo, the setback was crushing, but he responded with grace. On his YouTube channel, he posted a heartfelt message thanking the Buccaneers for the opportunity. He reflected with surprising maturity for a young man whose NFL career might already be in jeopardy. If that's the NFL, cool, but God's blessed me with a lot of talents to do other things other than play football, he said. I feel like in every athlete's life, it becomes a point where the game ends for you. Basically, every athlete comes to this point where you find yourself without the game of football. His words were striking, not just for their acceptance of reality but for the hope they carried. Shilo was not clinging to football desperately. He was ready to move forward, whether that meant music, acting, modeling, or something else entirely. Meanwhile, his father, Deion Sanders, had endured his own disappointment that same weekend. Colorado opened its 2025 season against Georgia Tech, and what should have been a triumphant home opener ended in heartbreak. The Buffaloes fell 27-20, and Deion came under fire for his late-game management. With 2 timeouts in his pocket and under 2 minutes remaining, he chose not to use them. Fans and analysts alike erupted with criticism. For a coach who had turned a 1-11 program into a national story, it was a humbling reminder that bold personality does not protect against tactical mistakes. It was a tough week for the entire Sanders family. Shilo cut and fined. Deion criticized for his coaching decisions. And Shilo, now a rookie quarterback with the Cleveland Browns, struggling for footing in one of the most crowded quarterback rooms in the NFL. But amid it all, Shilo reminded them of the core of their identity. In a text message to the family group chat, later shared by Deion Sanders Jr. on Instagram, Shilo wrote just 7 words. As Sanders men, we have to regroup. It was the kind of message that only someone inside the family could send. Short, direct, powerful. It acknowledged the setbacks without wallowing in them. It reminded his father and brother that being a Sanders means more than winning games. It means resilience, pride, and unity. For Deion, who regrouped by posting a grateful image on Instagram of himself leading his team onto the field, it was a reminder to keep perspective. For Shilo, who was facing the harshest moment of his professional life, it was a lifeline. For fans, once the message surfaced publicly, it was proof once again that the Sanders family endures as a unit, no matter the circumstances. Their mother, Pilar Sanders, has been less vocal in the media, but those close to the family know she has been a steadying presence throughout. While Deion's flamboyance dominates headlines, Pilar's quiet strength has always been vital for the children. For Shilo, at this crossroads in his life, her support remains just as crucial as the public encouragement of his siblings. The Sanders family may have lost battles this week, but they have not lost themselves. Football careers come and go. Wins and losses fade into memory, but family, unity, and resilience endure. Shilo's release may one day be remembered not as the end of his NFL journey, but as the beginning of his next chapter. And in that sense, this painful week may prove to be just another part of the legend of the Sanders name. A legend not defined by perfection, but by the ability to fall, regroup, and rise again.